Any stragglers? Anybody had not put in their answer yet? 92? All right. There we go. All right. So we got a good quarter of the group that it's all gone. A little bit that didn't have any. All right, so we got a nice little spread over here. All right, so it's a good sample question. Favorite subject in school? Let's take a look at these options. A, reading, B, writing, C, arithmetic, D, recess, E, rocket science. I think whoever wrote this question, reading was their answer because there's a nice alliteration there. All right. Get those answers locked in. We got a couple stragglers. 90, we got like at least 2 of you who haven't answered yet. There we go. All right. All right, let's see what we got for an answer. A lot of reading. People appreciated that alliteration right there. And arithmetic and recess, pretty much hand in hand. Very interesting results there. All right, so those are the fun questions. So we're going to get a little bit just to get some information about who we've got in the audience tonight. So what is your closest connection to an elementary or secondary school? A, student, B, parent or other family of student, C, teacher or support staff, D, administrator, or E, other. All right, answers are coming in more quickly. 93, all right, we got some new people on board. Very good, 94. All right. All right, a lot of other, a couple of teachers, a little bit parents, administrators, and not too many students. All right. Well, we have a sample size of the audience. We do not everybody in the audience has one, but as you came in, they were randomly handed out, so we have a sampling size of the audience that is here tonight. All right, so with what type of school are you most closely connected? A, district public school, B, charter public school, C, parochial school, D, other private school, E, homeschool. We've got about a dozen of you who have not answered yet. Got a couple more, 2 or 3 more people. Maybe you hit the button in advance. All right, district schools takes the lead on that one. There we go. Where do you live? A, a Rhode Island community. B, a suburban Rhode Island community. C, an urban Rhode Island community. D, outside Rhode Island. Voting is open. People knew this answer more strongly. We got those answers more quickly this time. All right, suburban and urban Rhode Island take the lead on that one. Great, great. I believe that was our last sample question. So now we all know how to use the iClickers. We all kind of know who's in the audience, who's answering these questions. We're going to take a few more moments, then we'll bring our panel out and we'll begin the discussion. All right, thank you, everyone.
And you guys should get like some sort of extra prize for being early and on time. Much appreciated. This is a more than sold out event tonight, so expect some people to be walking by, I think, because folks have, I would guess, are running late. But I want to welcome you to the 20th Publick Occurences Forum. Tonight, you know, the subject is Education Emergency. We can't wait. I'm Mike Ritz, I'm your Executive Director, and tonight I will be your trusted moderator. Publick Occurences, with a K, is named after the first multi-page newspaper published in 1690. It was immediately shut down by the colonial government after one edition due to the provocative material of the, quote, reflections of a very high nature. So our free and open to the public forums have been experienced by over 6,500 Rhode Islanders in the past 9 years. And these forums are an exercise in civil discourse, designed to educate, engage, and provoke action around the most timely, controversial topics of the Rhode Island day by bringing together experts from the public and private sectors. Tonight is no exception. Welcoming us to Rhode Island College is President Frank Sanchez.
Thank you, Mike. Good evening. Welcome to Rhode Island College. I want to certainly thank all of you for joining us at this forum. I certainly want to take this opportunity to thank certainly Mike and Ellen for the Providence Journal. Thank you for your collaboration and your leadership. You know, this partnership really allows us to explore and discuss some of the most important issues affecting the state. You know, as some of you know, right now, I don't think there's more of an important conversation that we're having as a state than public education, in particular K-12. And as some of you may know, Rhode Island College was founded as the first public higher education institution in the state of Rhode Island, 1854, and it was originally founded to prepare the next generation of teachers for a growing population at the time and to ensure that accessibility to education was made for everyone. Today, certainly the college has become this comprehensive, regional, comprehensive public higher education institution and doing some amazing things in New England, one of the most affordable public higher education institutions in the entire region. In fact, the 2020 U.S. News and World Report data is about to hit. And what you're going to find in this data is that Rhode Island College is ranked number 3 in social mobility of any public college or university in all of New England. Now, let's get a... You know, of particular importance tonight, of course, is that Rhode Island College is also the leading producer of teacher education, both certificates and degrees in the state. And we certainly have put a lot of time and energy transforming the curriculum here at Rhode Island College, talking to teachers, principals, superintendents across the state, talking to national thought leaders about the next generation curriculum. And now we have embedded in the curriculum new studies and support to ensure that our graduates are supporting our students in special education across the state, as well as our students who have ELL needs. And then soon, here in the next few months, we're going to break ground. In fact, this spring, we're breaking ground to transform Horace Mann, our teacher education building, into a state-of-the-art teacher preparation program in the entire region. As many of you know, and I believe many of you supported the 2018 bond that supports a $25 million modernization of Horace Mann so we can better support and train and prepare our next generation of teachers in Rhode Island. So thank you for your support. Lastly, I certainly want to thank all of our panelists for your expertise, your perspective, your insight, and your commitment to this important conversation. I think you're going to provide myself and the entire audience with a very rich conversation and dialogue about some of the work we need to do going forward. And then I also just want to publicly welcome Dr. Janine Dingus-Eason, our new Dean of the Feinstein School of Education and Human Development. Let's give her a big round of applause. She's hit the ground running. She's hit the ground running. Has come, I think, at a very exciting time, not only at Rhode Island College, but for the state and the regional conversation about how we prepare our next generation of teachers and how we enhance our schools to better support our students. So thank you so much and enjoy the evening.
Thank you, President Sanchez. And now I'd like to bring up the executive editor of the Providence Journal, Alan Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mike. On behalf of the Providence Journal and our publisher, Peter Meyer, I'd like to welcome you to Publick Occurences. We've been beating the drum for educational excellence in Rhode Island at the Providence Journal for at least 2 decades now, and it's gratifying to see this dynamic panel assembled tonight to talk about how we can get there. We've always felt that it's not enough to point out problems, although the Journal does spend a ton of time doing just that. We also want to help find solutions, and since 2011, we have sponsored this series of forums with Rhode Island College and Leadership Rhode Island to shine that kind of light on key issues in our state, from the economy and public pensions to the problems of returning veterans. My thanks to President Sanchez and to Leadership Rhode Island's Mike Ritz for your continuing partnership. It's striking to me that the topic of the very first Publick Occurences Forum back in 2011 was education. The question then was teaching, and one of the questions we posed was, do teachers in urban schools need to be heroes to get the job done? The answer to that question has become increasingly clear over the last 8 years. But as the RICAS results have shown for 2 years now, Rhode Island's education problems extend beyond our urban core to every corner of the state, no matter how affluent. I'm looking forward to tonight's discussion of both the problems and how we may solve them. Thank you all for coming. And if you're watching at home and want to take part in the conversation, remember to use the hashtag #EducationRI. Thank you.
All right, so the format tonight is, as is usual. Who's the first timer at Publick Occurences in the room?
Oh, quite a few of you. All right, so tonight I will ask some questions to get us rolling with the panelists, but very quickly, before you know it, I'll be out in the audience and you'll be asking those questions, and we'll have a back and forth with all of the panelists. I'd also like to point out that Linda Borg is down here in the front row, and she'll be asking questions on behalf of the Providence Journal, as well as Madeline List. Both are reporters, and you probably read their stories and are very familiar with them if you're a Providence Journal reader. So we'll alternate tonight. I want to set a few expectations tonight. I found over the past 10 years at Leadership Rhode Island that most everyone that engages in the topic of education has what they believe to be an educated opinion on the matter. And they don't mind sharing that opinion, whether they're professionals on the topic or not. Most of us don't seem to think we have the answers to jet propulsion, but we do think we know the answers to education. And I wonder why. I've been thinking about that. Perhaps it's because we've all had some form of education during our life, and whatever one we had or didn't have has impacted us positively or negatively in some meaningful way. On a personal note, I'd like to open the evening by paying tribute to a few teachers who made the most impact on me along my path. My 5th grade English teacher, Miss Sterling, taught me the power of words to gain personal insight. She gave me the confidence that I could express myself effectively for the rest of my life. To Mr. Bussey, who taught me that we can live an authentic life even when those in power try to confine us to the rules that purely serve authoritarians and not necessarily our interests. He didn't just teach me to think outside the box. He and the literature and poetry he exposed me to taught me how to create the shapes that best serve me and my values. The school called it creative writing. Mrs. Bruner, you taught me acceptance, compassion, and an appreciation for difference and diversity. The school called it drama class. Mr. Norberg, your class and dignified yet friendly demeanor demonstrated to me how to do a given thing in a given way, and most importantly, how to listen. The school called it DECA. Notice how there was no math teacher on the list? I'm just saying, I had a tough time with math. So I just want to start that way because I'd like to encourage all of you on your ride home, later tonight, think about that teacher that made an impact on you and who you are today. If you can still contact that person, how about you let them know it? I bet you they would welcome hearing from you. So before we start with the panel, you've got eye clickers. You've had an instructional. Not all of you have them. It's a random selection. If you came late, you're eye clickerless. That's your punishment. So let's go. Let's check out these questions. So what are your expectations for the state takeover of the Providence Public Schools is our first question. Go back to that. Let's give a little time. Quick draw, McDraw over there. A little time for people. There we go. What are your expectations for the state takeover of the Providence Public Schools? We've got it on this screen and over there on that screen. Are you ready? Here are your choices. A, it will produce lasting improvement. B, it will produce temporary improvement. C, it won't change things. D, it can't hurt, might as well try. E, it will make things worse. Make your choices. So about 5 of you missing, I think. Don't be shy. It's anonymous. One more of you? I think there's 95 of you with these things. Yep. Oh, it looks like we're at B and D. That question's probably going to come back around. All right, next question. Should Rhode Island offer more school choice? Should Rhode Island offer more school choice? A, no, current options are enough. B, more charter schools are needed. C, private school vouchers are needed. D, let students attend any district. E, any or all additional choice is good. You're the quietest crowd ever. You must have been so good in school. There's a few of you left. Who's my holdouts? All right. We'll lock it up. Wow. It's almost across the board. A and E and D. Tomorrow, when you pick up the Providence Journal, I believe Paul Parker will have an analysis of these questions, so something to look forward to. Next question. Do Rhode Island classrooms have enough technology? A, more technology should be available. B, the current level is appropriate. C, less technology should be used. You only get 3 this time. A, B, or C? Few of you holdouts, you don't like those choices. Come on. Here we go. All right, let's lock it up. A, more. Has the level of community involvement in the Providence takeover been appropriate? A, yes. B, no, too little. C, no, too much. Can you throw the question back up so people to read? Has the level of community involvement in the Providence takeover been appropriate? Has it been appropriate? Choices? A, yes. B, no, too little. C, no, too much. A few of you can't decide. Don't look at the other person's clicker. I see you. All right. B, no. Next question. How should school districts in Rhode Island be organized? A, current arrangement of 36 districts is good. B, schools should be regionalized. C, the state should take over troubled districts. Or D, the state should take over all districts. Right into the provocative territory, I think. A few of you holdouts, you got it? All righty. B, schools should be regionalized. Would your school district benefit from regionalization? A, yes. B, no. See if you mean it now. Oh, a few of you don't want to answer this one, but you answered the last one. I know you. You don't like the General Assembly, but my guy's great. I know you. You're at 88. No more takers. It's a quick one. Yes or no? All righty. Yes. Do we spend enough on public education? A, yes. B, no. Do we spend enough on public education? A, yes. B, no. I see you flipping a coin, sir. That's a good way to do it. All right, we'll clock it up. B, no. The answer is no. All righty, that concludes our questions. Now we can get into the meat of the matter. So just like any of our other topics over the years, there are many experts and stakeholders we could have put on the panel tonight, but alas, we only have 2 hours, even less now, and we only have room for 9 panelists. So we won't be able to cover every aspect of this topic. Those of you with the most knowledge of this subject may find that quite frustrating. We are aware of that. I've even heard from some of you, so thanks for that. Missing viewpoints or not, I do think that we've invited panelists with great experience, great perspectives, and they're going to give us a lot to think about. And if we're lucky, they might move this discussion and actions forward in a way that contributes to improving our educational system for all of the kids who are counting on us. If we help them get things right for them, they'll ensure a brighter future for all of us, and it's in that spirit in which I engage in this discussion, and I hope you do too. So because of tonight's complexity, I've asked Dana Borelli-Murray to speak first, giving us her prepared overview of the circumstances in Rhode Island at present. You all have brief bios in your pamphlet, your booklet, but I want to highlight Dana's now so that you can keep sharply in mind where she's coming from during her opening remarks. Dana Borelli-Murray is the Executive Director of the Highlander Institute, a nonprofit organization based in Providence. Highlander partners with communities to imagine and create schools that are more equitable, relevant, and effective. At its core, Highlander Institute declares its focus on creating student-centered, personalized learning environments, particularly with historically underserved student populations. The Highlander Institute has provided thousands of hours of embedded coaching support in hundreds of classrooms across every district in Rhode Island, as well as Massachusetts, New York, Iowa, Nebraska, New Jersey, Texas, and California. Last year alone, the Highlander Institute supported 621 Rhode Island teachers across 81 Rhode Island schools totaling 27,200 students. Last year, 97% of teachers coached by Highlander Institute demonstrated a marked change in their pedagogical practice, resulting in a statistically significant improvement in student interim assessment scores. Perhaps most interestingly, Black, Latino, economically disadvantaged, and ELL students in a pilot group of Highlander Institute supported classrooms where teachers received minimal coaching still showed more growth than the control classrooms in the very same district, according to Dana. So Dana, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, everyone. So I'm here to set the scene of Rhode Island landscape of education in 5 minutes or less, so thanks for that, Mike. Ready for it. I want to start by acknowledging that the scene to set is completely based on the ways in which you view, learn, and interact with education. So each of these incredible panelists up here with me would have equally valid perspectives. I won't attempt to answer for anyone but myself. So I think we can start, though, by talking about and thinking about the most undisputed facts. About 142,949 students are educated by 14,259 teachers across 332 traditional, public charter, and state-run schools. Our schools are located in bundles that we know of as districts, or LEAs, local education agencies. We have 36 traditional districts and about as many LEAs, totaling lots of leadership and organizations in district offices. Considering that Chicago has one CEO for 360,000 students, and Texas has farms larger than Rhode Island, you get where I'm going with that. From an assets perspective, though, this means that because of our small size and geography, we can gather all of our district leaders in one space quickly. This means we could pilot fresh ideas and learn from each other. This means we can partner and collaborate without coordinating travel and flights. If we dig into this a little deeper, we see that Rhode Island really is a microcosm of the country in terms of diversity and need. You can start your day shadowing a student at Carl Lauro Elementary School in Providence with over 800 elementary school students, 39% of which are English language learners, and then drive 25 minutes out on 6 West to Captain Isaac Payne in Foster, where 0 out of 295 students are English language learners. So close, yet so far away. Let's also set a historical scene, and thanks to my friend and colleague Adrienne Goss, I don't think she's here yet, from Rick's Social Policy Hub for Equity Research and Education for compiling some of this research. Records of education in Rhode Island show the establishment of schools as early as 1640 in Newport, 1652 in Warwick, and 1663 in Providence. An early attempt to institute publicly funded education for all the white inhabitants of any given town was legislated in 1800 and then later repealed. By 1828, every town in the state had a school, but only Providence and Newport were still supporting free public schools, and the education of non-white students was given little, if any, consideration. Thus, opportunities for students to receive quality education were uneven. In 1828, the General Assembly took steps to address some inequities by establishing permanent state funding to support public schools. This information is important in framing much of tonight. It is hard to extract inequity from education. It has been baked into the system. From its earliest days, through the factory model that all of us know very well, the cells and bells of schooling established to train youth for the workforce, through desegregation, a process Providence proudly volunteered for, but led to some of the greatest inequities we still feel in terms of destabilizing communities of color and the lack of a diverse teaching workforce. Let's keep in mind tonight that the stakes of shifting this narrative are high. This is not just about designing a new education model. This is about restoring confidence to disenfranchised communities and breaking the pedagogy of poverty. As we all know, 2019 was a milestone year in terms of naming the concerns of Rhode Island education system publicly. Our first attempt at the RICAS test, based off the Massachusetts MCAS test, showed poor results, for everyone. The subsequent Johns Hopkins report brought to light what many have known for far too long about Providence schools. At the Highlander Institute, we've studied universal education challenges facing schools in the 21st century. Major trends. The inequities of school systems are being magnified. Student experiences, opportunities, and outcomes are directly and vary greatly between urban and suburban schools. There is a growing disconnect between the traditional school model and the demands and opportunities of the evolving workforce. And school reform attempts typically produce a few model classrooms, but an overwhelming lack of sustained positive change. We are in an unprecedented moment with the Crowley Act triggering more singular power to one individual and entity than any person or board of education had previously. And there are lots of ideas and feelings about focus of control, power, and solutions. There are vendors all over the country with curriculum solutions, and assessment solutions, and professional learning solutions, and pretty much any solution you would need for education. And just like my organization, we have over 100 education community organizations in Rhode Island, each with their own theory of change and ways they would approach the problems laid out in the Johns Hopkins report. Some people suggest silver bullets, nouns, things, while others would push for slower, consensus-building approaches. We can, and do, argue all day about the ways to solve for these issues plaguing our system. If it's okay, Mike, I'd like to get a little meta right now. There is an element of just engaging in this panel that feels inherently political. To misstep could result in damaging alliances, misquoting, wrong spotting. It's like we're all looking for something to poke holes in instead of all swimming in the same direction for students. Last week, I heard a speaker named Mark Brand lead an audience in a little activity. So if you all at this point right now could just turn to someone next to you, and if one person could make a really tight fist, and the other person, it's your job to break their fist, to open their fist. So can we all just do that right now? All right, great work. You're so strong, so strong. All right, I'm gonna try a different way. Dr. Gallo, can you make a tight fist for me? Okay, I'm gonna try a different way. Dr. Gallo, could you please open your fist? Open my fist.